I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult.
Here you are, suffering away. What makes it worthwhile?
The only way you're ever going to get to the other side of this journey is you have got to suffer to grow. To grow, you must suffer.
Life's gonna hurt you, and how you use that pain is completely and utterly up to you. You can use that pain to galvanize yourself as a man.
Because that's what suffering is. Suffering is a test. That's all it is. Suffering is the true test of life. I'm training for the time when I get that 2 o'clock in the morning call that my mom is dead or something happens tragic in life. I don't fall apart. I'm training my mind and my body and my spirit so it's all one, so I can handle what life is going to throw at me. Because the life I've lived, it throws a whole bunch at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared for that, you're just going to crumble.
What do you think is the hardest challenge for the average man?
That's a good question. It's a really good question. I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. I don't read studies very often, but I was sent a study about stress from somebody. It's probably the best study I ever read, and it's talked about the placebo effect of stress. And it said that they took some of the most stressed people in the world, CEOs, etc., and the ones who believed that stress was really bad for them were dying earlier because of the cortisol inside of their blood. And stress was really bad for them, they were having heart attacks. But the ones who believed that stress was good for them and it made them perform, I perform under pressure, stress is good for me, they were living longer. So the same drug inside of their blood, how they framed it inside of their mind had different effects on their body. So from that point onwards, even though I already thought this way, I knew I was the right way. I knew it was the right way to think innately because I've done pretty good in life that way. But this confirmed it. Every time I feel stressed or under pressure, I get excited. I hate to not be stressed. I wake up and I'm like, everything's fucked. Good. Yes. Like, that's just how I am, right?
You need to listen. Stop saying that. Stop saying any of those things. Every single person who has ever done anything worthwhile or exceptional or difficult or extraordinary, anyone, whether it's great artists or authors or mathematicians or whatever it is, everyone encounters difficulties. There is no easy road. It does not exist. It is impossible. Everyone has issues. If you have time to pursue a hobby, if you have time to do anything in your life, you can better yourself. And here's one way you never better yourself. When you come up with excuses for why other people are successful and you're not, that is dangerous. When you give yourself an escape, yeah, well, that's easy for you to say, you know, you do this, you do, and trust me. Everybody has a hard road. I wanted to jump out a window several times during my young life. I wanted to jump in front of a train and just end it because it's too much pressure. Not really, but you know what I'm saying, theoretically. We all go through hard times. We all go through depression. We all go through doubt and moments in your life where it's really difficult and you're trying to figure out what the your path is going to be. It's hard as shit.
What do you say to young men who come to you for advice, who feel lost, who don't really know where they fit into society?
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you. You're only going to be cared about based on how useful you are. You have the chance to build yourself up and become a superhero if you're prepared to do the hard work and be indefatigable enough to never quit. But if you're going to stand around and wait for a handout, nobody's going to ever respect you. And I think that a lot of people have forgotten about how difficult and how competitive it is as a man. We're always in constant competition with each other. And it's your duty as a man to stand up and say, I want to be as important and strong and good-hearted and God-fearing as possible, and I need to work hard to achieve those things. She's completely right. And the dangerous thing about overly emotional men is that they're dangerous. They're genuinely dangerous. This is what's crazy. All these people who talk about toxic masculinity and how bad it is for men to be traditionally masculine. A traditionally masculine man does things he doesn't feel like doing because it is his duty to do them. He charges into the building because it is his duty. Not because he feels like it, because it is his duty. We're now teaching the new generation of men that they don't have duty and they can just act on their feelings and act how they feel and they don't have to act as a man should. Do you know what happens when you get men who just act how they feel? You get school shooters, you get violence, you get rapists. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people. He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're going to find a dangerous man. Sitting here telling men to cry more and act with their feelings, and it's okay to feel this way, that way, etc., and have no self-control. That is why we have the problems we have in the world. Absolutely not wrong. So when they talk about toxic masculinity, they have it completely inverse on its head, completely and utterly wrong. We need to be teaching stoicism. You need to be teaching young men to understand that the world is very, very difficult. It's hard to be a man. You're going to feel bad sometimes. You just suck it up and perform anyway. Not to sit there and cry your eyes out or blame other people.
Happiness isn't something that you can precisely pursue. It's also not the right pursuit because there's so many things in life that are difficult and even tragic. If your hallmark for whether your life is unfolding properly is whether or not you're happy, then you're going to be bereft when you're bereft, and that's going to happen to you quite frequently. And so you shouldn't pursue what should be a side effect of other pursuits. That's essentially the reason. You have to build yourself into a ship that can withstand storms and then captain that ship properly. And that's not at all the same thing as being happy. I mean, how would you feel on a sailing ship if the captain's fundamental orientation was whether or not he was going to be happy that day? It's just not, you know, it's a juvenile idea, and it's deeply unsatisfying existentially and philosophically, and it doesn't work out practically. And it makes people miserable because it can't be attained. So it's altogether a bad idea, as well as being trivial and rather ignoble. I mean, there is the idea that's built deep into the substrata of the American way of life that you have the right to pursue happiness. And I also believe that you have that right. And I think it's kind of a misunderstanding of the right to pursue happiness, which essentially means, according to the founders of American society, that you have the right to conduct your life the way you see fit, as long as you don't infringe on other people's right to do so equally. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable set of propositions. But to distill that into something like happiness is the end goal of life it's preposterous. And the thing is, what I really don't like about it is it's just not helpful for people, because then when they're suffering, which is very, very frequently, they also tend to think that there must be something wrong with them for feeling that way. And that's just simply untrue. Life is difficult, and bad things happen to people, no matter how well prepared they are. And you need a way of orienting yourself in the world that has a lot more nobility than the pursuit of happiness.
I have failed far more times than I've succeeded. Far more. You will never succeed more than you fail. That's not how it works. You know why? Because failure is a wonderful teacher. It's the only way to learn. You have to fail. Failure is a part of the process to becoming successful. I tell people this all the time. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player in the world, he took 946 game-winning shots. 946 times since he was in high school, the ball has been in his hand to take the game-winning shot with no time on the clock. He has only made 146 of those. He has missed over 700 times, but he has made 146. You know what they write about? When you make it. They write about when you make it. So guess what? When you get through failing, all you got to do is make one. All you got to do is make one. I've had in my career probably a total of over 200 pitch meetings to pitch ideas in Hollywood. Out of those 200, they have picked 5 of them. 200 meetings, 200 show ideas, they've picked 5 of them. But you know what them 5 was? Hits. So you know what they made me? A star. I only had 5. I only hit 5. The rest of the shows I had somebody thought of and asked me to be on the show, and I might have turned it into a hit. But I've only been picked, 5 of my ideas got picked. In 33 years, 5 ideas got picked. All I need is 5 hits. That's all. Y'all don't even know I was in them other meetings. They don't write about it. They just write about my hits. You just need a hit, man. So when you fail, it's a part of the process. Keep going. You're supposed to fail. Shit, who you know that gets it right all the time? That's impossible. You have to fail. Matter of fact, when you fail, be glad about it. Every time you fail, you're one step closer. So every time you fail, say, whew, got that out the way. Go to the next one. Fail again, okay, I got 2 out the way. What's gonna happen is if you just keep swinging, you're gonna get a hit. A baseball player gets paid millions and millions of dollars for a 300 batting average. That means out of every 10 times he goes to the plate, he only hits the ball 3 times. They're millionaires. They only hit it 3 times. Man, please. I can't wait to fail.